why are we focusing on mail-in ballots for Chase the Vote on our ballot chasing initiative if the Democrats are going to cheat anyway?
Yeah, this is a great question. And we talk about this all the time, actually, when we're in public. And it's actually frustrating for people.
And I understand why it's frustrating.
Well, it's frustrating for people not to hear what we're saying here.
Correct.
So we are huge advocates for day of, returning back to single day,
Right.
return to Holy Election Day promise, right?
Right.
And the reason for this is, and I want to explain to most people who are listening, you have a scenario where if you vote too early, you're basically telling Democrats how many votes they need to win, right? And so people believe that enough manipulation's happening up to and on Election Day,
Right.
that it's giving the Democrats the playbook to win, and they're not wrong. They're exactly right. If we did all of our voting before Election Day,
Yeah.
it makes it difficult. The reality is that again, too, at the same time, Democrats have expanded early voting for one reason alone, and that is because it gives them more opportunity to chase down more ballots.
Right.
So this is why they're flooding the zone with more ballots. This is why they're doing it. The unfortunate fact is that most states now, particularly because of COVID, but in Arizona we had it long before COVID,
Yeah.
instituted no excuse early mail-in balloting.
It was called Pebble, Permanent Early Voting List.
And it was horrible. And
Yep.
and not many people realized how bad it was.
But we've gotten rid of it now. Now it's the active early voting list.
Which is not that much better, but it's
a
moving in the right direction.
Correct.
Right. But if you ask me the question, Austin, and I won't ask you this question because I won't put you on the spot because I don't mind taking the barbs from people. Do you think we're going to get rid of early voting?
Right now, no. I'll take right now. No, we're not. We're not.
The sheer.
I want it gone, but I know it's not going anywhere right now.
It's like the same thing as like I equate it when I talk to people. It's like red light cameras, right?
Yeah.
We had them forever. We just got the bill.
They're shitty. They're awful.
I opposed them for so long. So many libertarians opposed them for so long.
I've always opposed them.
But the reality is, I'm not going to just speed through each intersection,
Right. Just because I don't like
in
it.
spite of these awful red light cameras or speeding cameras or whatever. I'm not going to speed just to do it. I'm going to slow down. I have to play by the stupid rules.
Yeah.
Because I hate these stupid speeding cameras.
Yeah.
I'm actually more likely to want to speed just to defy these things.
Right.
That's not, what's going to end up if I do that? I'm going to end up with a ton of tickets, in that scenario.
Right.
And we still have speeding. We still have red light cameras and speeding cameras, right? So the unfortunate situation is like this is a lot like these red light cameras and speeding cameras. You have a rule. These rules that are in place. They're stupid. We should have never allowed to happen.
Right.
This should serve as a warning to all other states to say, don't do it. Right. Be like Florida and have only excuse, very small window early voting.
Right.
And mail-in ballot.
And rules for dropping off your mail-in ballot.
Or ideally, you have none of it, right?
Right.
There's states that have zero of this, right? And that's the better position to be in. You would be insane, though, again, just to speed through the cameras, right?
Because you don't like them, right?
Just because you don't like them. And so the way that we're describing this to people is really simple. We're not trying to encourage more people to get on the early voting list.
Right.
The RNC has said that. We think that's wrong. I think it's wrong that they're trying to register more people to be early
just
voters.
to vote early for some reason. Yeah.
That's stupid.
Correct.
We should not try to get people who are good election day vote. If you're a voter, I want to encourage you to do election day voting.
Right. I don't want to change your voting habits.
And that's what our team is doing. The Turning Point Action team right now, regardless of dishonest people who are on the right, are helping people to say, okay, you're an early voter. Let's make you a day of voter. Okay, that's good. Our focus is the people who don't vote.
Right.
So Chase the Vote is focused on let's make people who don't vote that are already registered to ABLE,
correct,
that are early voters. Let's get their ballot in. And then teach them to become day of voters. And the reason why that's important.
Right.
But you're never going to do that unless you get people to vote and you make contact with them and build a relationship and teach them.
That's right.
it's insane. Again, this is insane, and I'm really speaking to the people who are listening that are that just want to constantly be naysayers against everything or burn everything down type people. You're never going to teach people to become election day voters if you don't talk to them, if you don't build relationships. And if you're going to be a whack job and be mean and angry and aggressive and tell people they're stupid,
nobody's going to want to follow you.
Tell
That's
people they're stupid.
One.
Look, if we walked up to people and we're like, "Oh, you're on the early voting list, you're an idiot." Do you think they're more motivated to vote? Do you think they're more motivated to become an election day voter?
Nope.
And that's effectively what's happening right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I literally had the same conversation with legislators today that are moaning, complaining about the independents in Arizona that we've talked about in the past. Independents that are 3s and 4s are already going to go one way or another. 50% Republican, 50% Democrat. They've already pretty much made up their mind. We're losing these elections because we're just not turning out Republicans to vote, whether that's day of or that's some of these early people voting. We're neglecting that. And you can't win the game if you don't have any more points than your opponent. If whether you agree with how we're getting the points or not, you have to put up points on the board.
And again, this is our good friend Phenomenology that's on Twitter.
Phen is great.
Phenom is great. She, however you want to pronounce it, I call her Phenom. For sort of phenomenology.
She's fantastic.
We've talked about this. Is we should not be encouraging people to register early, right?
Right.
Not there. I totally agree with that. The only people we should be chasing that have early ballots, we should be chasing them to get them turned in, is low propensity voters.
People who haven't voted in the last 2 election cycles, general election cycles.
When we make contact and build relationships with these people, we should be encouraging them to become election day voters.
Right.
We are doing all of this, right? There's no argument. I've gone out, I've debated probably a couple dozen people on this issue, and they're like, no early voting, no. I get it, but you have to dig deeper. I have heard not one single argument of why helping conservatives who are on the early voting list, who are low propensity, meaning they never vote, why getting in their ballot is a bad thing.
Yeah.
Now, again, it's bad if you're converting those people to become those people.
Right.
We're talking about people who are already there, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about people who are already there and now working with them to become, again, closer to election day voters.
Yeah.
Again, you're never going to get those people to election day if you don't engage them.
Mm-hmm.
You're never going to be able to engage them if you don't have bodies on the ground.
Full-time bodies, warm bodies in the precincts. I will tell you before we have to get out of here, I knocked doors this weekend getting signatures, and I ended up running into a couple people that are low propensity Republicans who had no idea that the presidential preference was happening right now, had no idea that their ballot had already been sent in the mail. I was just collecting signatures because they were registered Republicans to get back on the ballot. When you just have that one-on-one conversation with them, I ended up talking to a guy for like 35, 40 minutes.
Yep.
But that doesn't happen overnight. Like, that takes a long time for some people to convince somebody who's a low propensity Republican. Do you think you can just do that with volunteers? No, you have to have people year-round responsible for connecting with those people and saying you need to vote on election day and then helping them make a plan to vote on election day. It's a lot of work. It just doesn't happen like that, like some people think.
Yeah, and let me give you another angle to this too. If you have bodies on the ground that are becoming aware of the voting habits and the trends in the neighborhood, who is where, you're going to be able to clean the voter rolls
easily.
So again, this is another point that's really important. You have to fund bodies in order to chase ballots.
Yeah.
And this is even if you had just election day voting, right? You would need a massive army to turn out low propensity people on one day.
Yeah.
Again, this is the reason why the Democrats have done this, because they knew they're better organizers. They know in Wisconsin,
correct.
They can bus in Chicago people to take advantage of this for 28 days, 30 days, whatever the time limit is. In Arizona, it's 28 days. They can bring Californians over to Arizona and do this for 28 days. They've realized this, right? It's a game.
Yeah.
It's a video game. They're giving themselves more time on the clock. I think back for those millennials here that are Mario, right? Like, you had a time limit to complete a level.
Mm-hmm.
The time limit when it was really short for some of these and it was a really tough level, you would die. this is the same thing with Democrats. Democrats couldn't win elections just on election day. That's why going back to just election day, if it was just election day right now,
oh yeah, they never.
We
win.
would obliterate them.
Yeah.
We would obliterate them in every state. Everyone's right about that.
Yeah.
But that's not going to change the rules, right?
Right now,
the
no.
laws, that's not going to change things.
No.
So you either take advantage of this with the low propensity ballots. Again, we're not trying to make people.
We're not voting by mail. We're hard R's. We are not voting.
We're not
by mail.
trying to convert people to do this.
Correct.
But throwing the kitchen sink at Democrats, meaning getting as many votes in as possible,
Yeah.
is going to throw the kitchen sink at Democrats. And it's going to, number one, I believe, make them flustered because they're going to have to find other ways to win,
Right.
other ways to cheat, other ways to manipulate.
Dude, why do you think they're talking about the bloodbath thing?
Yeah,
Because they have no other thing
they have
to stir
nothing,
up.
guys.
They have nothing.
They're getting so concerned about what we're talking about here, right? They're so concerned that the numbers are so far out of reach now for them, just organically. Now, add on top of that, chasing low propensity ballots.
Yeah.
That they are, they are not happy.
There's so many
I can't say
states.
that we're live
we were
right now, so I
talking.
can't
We were
say what I
talking
wanna
about
say.
it today. There are so many states where, in swing states, where Republicans out-register Democrats. It's all a simple game of math.
No, an article just came out in New York Times that said that the Democrat registration advantage is down like 12, 13%.
Yes. So we have to capitalize on this.
Yes,
Like,
which means that they're not registering more people, folks.
no, or nobody's wanting to register with them. They're like, no, I'm not registering as a Democrat. The Democrats suck.
Part of the reason
Joe
why
Biden
they were
sucks.
able to pull off when people call it the steal, they call it the
Yeah,
manipulation,
2020.
whatever. Part of the big reason is they put bodies on the ground in
Yes.
the right counties to chase ballots.
Right.
You've seen the graphics.
Right.
Joe Biden won the fewest amount of these key target counties, right?
Right.
These bellwether counties, because guys, they focused in on just the ones where they had to put
Right.
bodies.
Right.
And again, that wasn't everything, right? They've done a ton of manipulation tactics, which we're not ignoring. We know that they're using these systems. We know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Our vantage point is just we're a get out the vote operation.
Yeah.
You have to have
We
offense.
want
We're an
Republicans
offense.
to vote. Yep.
We're an offensive strategy. We have to still put up a really great offensive
right.
turnout.
That's right.